we need to make sure we continue to challenge Labour on what they're doing and we scrutinise what they're doing, but we don't forget that the Tories have caused such a mess for all of us. We've got to scrutinise what Labour do and challenge them when they're not going far enough and fast enough for us. So I'm Joshua Reynolds and I'm honoured to be the newly elected MP for Maidenhead.
And you are also, Josh, and I can't help but notice, Gen Z,
Yes.
like me.
Yes.
So to start, I just want to quiz you on a bit of internet slang, a bit of Gen Z terms, and we'll see how you fare.
Yeah.
So if I was to call you a Rizzler, what would that mean?
I have no idea.
No, nothing?
I don't know. I used to work at Co-op,
Okay.
so I used to sell Rizzlers, but that is all I know.
So Rizzler, spelt slightly differently in Gen Z terms, it's like a person who's got charisma, who can flirt,
yeah.
who can charm. This one I reckon you'll be able to get,
Okay.
or at least discern. Lib Dems to win the next election, cap or no cap?
Cap, I think. Is it?
So you don't back the Lib Dems to win?
Oh, no cap. I have no idea.
Cap is like lies, like not true.
That makes no sense.
We didn't do amazing there, Josh. You didn't do wonderful,
great.
but you know what? I think that it's not necessarily crucial of a politician. Do you go on TikTok? Do you spend much time online?
No, I've been told I need to get a TikTok account, but not yet.
Yeah. So what about the Lib Dems? Why the Lib Dems? Why not Labour, not the Tories, not Reform, not the Greens? Why Lib Dems specifically?
I think Lib Dems come at things from a very sensible angle. You think Lib Dems come at things and it's from the sensible, pragmatic approach, and it's the values that the Lib Dems have got. You think of a Lib Dem campaign and what we ran on in that general election, and it's health and social care, it's sewage, it's fixing the mess and rebuilding things that are broken.
And what within that do you think specifically separates Lib Dems from Labour? Because sometimes these days I find it hard, you know, unless you sort of look at really myopic policy details, to separate the two on any sort of ideological level. Why specifically Lib Dem rather than Labour?
I think if you look at some of the things that have happened recently in Parliament, I was really proud that my first vote in Parliament was to remove the two-child benefit cap. That for me was a really important thing, to be able to stand up and say, this is something we are fully behind. Two-child benefit cap, getting rid of it would be the quickest thing we could do to remove children from poverty in the UK. That's something that the Lib Dems have been championing for years and really want to push through. And I think it's all of these campaigns that we're really strong about, that we keep talking about, and we won't let go until they're fixed. Look at the campaign for WASPy women, the state pension age, women born in the 50s and their state pension age. That's a campaign the Lib Dems have been talking about for so long, and we will not stop until those women get the compensation they need.
Well, and on those two policies then, I mean, I find that really interesting, because two-child benefit cap, WASPy women, we're talking about two things where really the Lib Dems there are lefter than Labour. Is that fair to say? Are the Lib Dems further left than Labour now?
I think if you look at some of the policies that we've got really clear what we want to achieve, but I think we need to make sure we continue to challenge Labour on what they're doing and we scrutinise what they're doing, but we don't forget that the Tories have caused such a mess for all of us. I mean, you look at some of the policies that Labour are trying to undo, and the Tories have left the place in such a mess. We've got to scrutinise what Labour do and challenge them when they're not going far enough and fast enough for us. And the two-child benefit cap is one of those things, definitely. Labour are not planning to go fast enough, far enough where we need them to go. So we'll push them to do what's right. I don't think it's about being left or right. I think it's about doing what's right for people.
And do you think then that maybe at the next election, some people who are maybe left-wing and might end up slightly disillusioned with the Labour Party for whatever reasons, that the left of that party might come over to the Lib Dems when it comes to policies, especially like the two-child benefit cap?
I think people from right across the political spectrum will be voting for Lib Dems at the next general election. I mean, our fantastic result, best in 100 years at this election. We look at what we can do and we're only wanting to grow and get better, and now being back in third-party status again in Parliament, in Westminster, we're going to have so much more opportunity to talk to people, get our message across and show people the policy platforms that we've got.
The Lib Dems have had a bit of a tumultuous relationship with young people, I think, because of the tuition fee U-turn, obviously promising to abolish them, but then obviously we had the coalition with the Tories where the Lib Dems weren't able to do that. How do the Lib Dems address that relationship with young people who might feel disillusioned after that key policy change?
I mean, I think for me, when I was a student, I had to pay tuition fees. Like I said, I'm 25, I went to uni in 2017. So for me, the biggest barrier that I had going through university wasn't the tuition fees itself, but actually was then talking about the maintenance loans and maintenance grants. I said I wasn't a member of the Lib Dems during the coalition times. Would I say that Lib Dems, and if you look at Ed Davey when he spoke in some of the debates, and Daisy Cooper, would the Lib Dems say they were proud of everything that happened during the coalition? No, they probably wouldn't. But what I would then say is look at when the Lib Dems left government in 2015 and look at how things changed, and some of those things the Lib Dems stopped the Tories from doing, they then rode back on after that.
Now, you referenced the Tories making a mess, and I'm just interested to talk about the Tory that was in this constituency for a very long time, Theresa May.
Yeah.
Have you heard from her when you see? Have you guys chatted?
I've spoken to her team. We're hoping to get something in the diary quite soon to be able to meet up and talk about some casework and do a bit of a handover.
Do you have respect for Theresa May?
I do. I'm 25. She was the MP for Maidenhead for 27 years. She was the MP for my entire life in this town. So, yeah, you've got great respect for what she's been able to do locally. I disagree with her on lots of that national policy, and lots of stuff she did in government I can disagree with. But as a local constituency MP, she was really good. She was local, she was around, she attended all the local events, and actually even when she was in jobs as Prime Minister or as Home Secretary, she still made sure she championed Maidenhead. And that's one of the things that during the election campaign, I was talking to so many people saying, I want to continue that local legacy of being able to be active, be around, be local and really talk to people.
Is it fair to say then that as an MP or as a politician in general, you're very focused on the local, on Maidenhead, on this place that you've grown up around?
It's so important to me. It's the reason I'm in politics. I'm from Maidenhead, I grew up here, I went to the local schools, and I'm now a governor at one of those local schools. And yeah, Maidenhead is the reason I'm in politics. I wanted to be an MP for Maidenhead, not for anywhere else, because this is my home.
Theresa May famously said the naughtiest thing she ever did was running through fields of wheat. Can you top that?
I don't think anyone can top running through fields of wheat, can they? I don't think anyone has done anything naughty than running through fields of wheat.
What's your equivalent? What's your dark side? You ever steal a Freddo from the co-op?
Well, I'd probably have a few old Argos pens at home somewhere, which is probably same level maybe as running through the fields of wheat.
You know what? I think it's actually worse. I think that is lamer. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, I think so.
How many have you got? A lot of Argos pens?
No, well, I wouldn't dare. No, my civic duty would absolutely inhibit me from taking Argos pens. Just you're sick. You're a sick man. Now, a slightly different question. I'd like to speak just a little bit about young people and young people's voting patterns. One thing that really, I think, surprised me at the election was we saw a surge of voters among Gen Z men, young men, voting reform, sort of breaking the traditional pattern of young people traditionally voting for left-wing parties. Why do you think that is?
I think what we've got to make sure we do, and I think all parties have got to do it, is talk to young people about the issues that affect them. And I was talking to the Young Liberals the other day, and I was asked a question on, well, what message would you give to young people? How do you talk to young people in terms of policies? And actually, what I found in Maidenhead is that young people want the same as what everybody else wants, but it's how you communicate that message to people.
Which is what? What do you think they want?
So in Maidenhead, the issues that I was hearing time and time again was St Mark's Hospital and not being able to get the care that people need, sewage in the water, and not being able to use the fantastic, we've got the stream behind us, we've got the River Thames on our doorstep, they can't use them the way they want to. So the issues, I think, are similar for everybody, but it's the way we communicate those issues to people is the piece that needs to change. And we need to make sure as politicians we use social media a lot more to be able to target different groups of people. And the message we send out isn't the same message to everybody, but has those nuances to draw people in and get them interested. People feel like politicians don't listen to them. And or politicians hear them, but they don't listen and they don't respond. And that's a thing that we've got, as politicians across the board, have got to listen to and have got to work with. And I think as Lib Dems, you mentioned how Lib Dems work and our ways of working. It's a fairly well-known joke within the Lib Dems that if you agree with us on everything we do, you're probably not a Lib Dem. We all disagree with each other on various bits, but we know why we're all in this.
Are you proud of that? Is there some pride there?
That you're 100%.
That you're a party that accepts a dissent in opinion, that accepts argument?
I think we accept that we can disagree with each other, and disagreeing with each other is natural.